the veto that I would have went with them as my favorites as well. But now it really just comes down to what way that second map goes, because I feel like Wisla should have Overpass. Maybe if he are at least able to put up a solid fight, then it preps them better for the second map. But I feel like that second map is going to be the turning point. Either that's where Wisla should end it 2-0, or where HEET are going to send it towards their 2-1. But it looks like, I believe, we're getting live into the game, so we don't really have to speculate anymore. We already have things kicking off into the pistol round. It's going to be Wisla on the T side, of course, with it being their map choice, and it looks like they're happy to go for what is going to be a pretty straightforward push on towards B. The problem is they're going through water, and there is a heavy presence in connector.
There's a huge backstab opportunity here, but it's going to be on the timings, and Exercise catches one. Goofy goes down very early here, and that starts to make life awkward. Pot Flash to get the CTs in, but it blinds them up as much as it does the Ts, and Snatchy will grab a second. Sobel chimes in with one more, and now this starts to look very ugly indeed. 2-on-4, body in towards short. The monster flank is there, but with Afro only managing a couple of taps, he's really not distracting well enough. Sparrow hits the first and body. Oh, 1v4 is not where you want to be in this pistol. The bomb already halfway ticked. He doesn't even have a defuse kit in hand, and Snatchy, well, he is just playing with his prey here at this point. He will finally go down, but he's bought so much time. That bomb is so far ticked. Sparrow is so fast on the flank that even with body finding these kills, it is just the consolation prize. Round has to go the way of Wisla.
Yeah, it'll be a small bit of money, I suppose, into this next round where they might buy. We'll see exactly what they decide on. Yeah, Wisla kept it pretty straightforward, clean entries, and yeah, just leaving it down to body in the end. Nothing really that he could do. I've got to say, this is kind of how you'd expect things to go, but when you've got a map like this where your stats are so rough, that pistol round is really where you need to kick things off. Get the early few rounds, so if things do start to go south, that you have a little bit of wiggle room to work with. There we go. The sound is back. We were going to mention that it was lacking, but we knew it would be back within a few moments. So there we go. We've got everything cleaned out now. First round, it happens. It's a pretty secure buy here, though, from Wisla. Maybe expecting the force buy, or perhaps more so expecting, I guess, this eco to come in. So wanting to future-proof their buy, so they'll have what they need in this next round. This could be dangerous, though. If they step out, there's a boost going on right now that is trying to catch someone in connector, but if the peek towards long comes in, there's two players who should be able to get the drop. Did he spot the head? He will now. There we go, we get Sparrow. That's maybe even going to bait a player out long.
It should bait Goofy into this swing. He has got an MP5, so it should be relatively easy to clean up these remaining kills. And indeed, Snatchy on the AK is going to do what the MP5 is struggling with. Goofy finally chimes in with one more, and at this point, yeah, Exercise down on B. Nothing he can really do, but that's a nice little boost from HEET. It's a little something you won't see teams pull out pretty much ever. I don't think I've ever seen that boost on long before, but it gets them into short. It gets them a pick, and when you've bought one Deagle and 4 default pistols, that's all you're looking for, right? One pick, great. Body had the money to get the Deagle. He gets himself a kill. That's something taken away from the T side at the very least. And maybe if Exercise can even land just a single shot onto Snatchy, a single bullet would take one of those rifles away as well and make this go from a good to a great round, in all honesty, for HEET.
Yeah, Goofy's pretty low as well, coming up short. Problem is, he's going to be fighting against the high health players before he has a chance to go against them. He gets Yedgar, a second on Snatchy. Low health, as I said, on Goofy coming in up close, and that could have been scary. If Goofy goes down, suddenly it's a 1v1. The only problem would have been none of the weapons were recoverable. Either way, making it a way more costly round than it was looking to be, and considering all they bought in was that Deagle, I think they can be pretty happy. They'll be getting their guns out now. Wisla had gone for 4 rifles, only 1 SMG, 3 of the rifles were AKs, so they went in heavy in that round, and they've unfortunately not come out looking all that clean. As you can see, there's not much left in the reserve, so if he can win out this first gun round, maybe even a second round comes free off the back of it.
Oh yeah, as much as they don't win the round in the end, that is a huge win for HEET. They invest $700, they take away 3 guns, including 2 rifles. You wouldn't expect it, right? You wouldn't expect to see that much damage out of anyone realistically. That Deagle gets 1 once he's dealt with. It's default USPs. It should be nice and smooth sailing, but Exercise does incredibly well, bides his time, and gets a little fortunate with the swing right. We see Jacob clearing in towards bathrooms, in towards bank, and that just means he's looking the wrong way, takes the early dink, and then Snatchy just happens to be the player in support, and small mistake, maybe. Arguably, Snatchy should be going in first and being traded out by the higher HP player, but it potentially is going to be those small mistakes that we see HEET taking full advantage of, right? We talk about them being a consistent roster, a roster that's always there. They're not going to be making those mistakes. They're going to be going in cleanly, going in smoothly, not relying on the individuals as much, which isn't the tale we're telling at the very least for Wisla, but still a solid enough buy. They dropped 2 rifles. They'll be down to the 1 MAC-10 on Jedka. It does mean that they've pretty much emptied the bank account, though. Snatchy on 1750 is by far the most rich player over on that T side of things, with 5 rifles and good utility out for Heat. This is a very early opportunity for them to start breaking that T economy and making their comeback start early here on Overpass. And it's going to be Jocko, highly aggressive in towards the playground, but he wasn't expecting 3. The flash was good, but he just had no idea there'd be 3 players ready to meet him, and Jedka, well, he just keeps the pain coming, catching body and connector.
Yeah, this really isn't the start that they wanted. Still a bit of utility here for Afro. He's hoping to take a kill and then maybe back away, but honestly, with his current health and being heavily committed, this is rough. At most, I'm expecting maybe 1 kill, and he's not even going to be allowed that. Denied by Goofy. 5 on 2. I mean, a bit of damage at least done onto Yedker, but either way, I'm not expecting a ton to be done. Lucky will get 1. As we said, you can expect Wisla to make some crazier plays, not implying at all that they don't have a good in-game leader. Sparrow is a very solid in-game leader. But it's just the style that they play. They take a few more gambles than what you'd see from Heat, and sometimes it pays off. So Ballin has just walked in and realized B is clear, of course, in this case. So with the bomb going down, the weapons being saved from Heat, they concede this first gun round, and they allow Wisla to kick things off with a 3-0. Again, with them being heavily favored here on this map, with Wisla looking like the heavily favored team, the fact that they're already kicking things off like this on the T side is not a good sign for Heat. At the very least, they want to be putting in a decent result here so that they're going to be feeling good going on towards Inferno.
It's early doors, but it is already starting to look a little rough around the edges for Heat, right? We were just singing their praises, talking about how they brought something inventive to a map that, you know, we don't really attribute them to playing very much. We wouldn't expect them to necessarily have that kind of prep in the back pocket, you know, a boost that neither of us have seen before. But then they go aggressive, they go proactive, they get a little unlucky for the first kill. The second, you have to say the M4 should be beating the MAC-10 in that situation. And from there, the round is very quickly derailed. And that initial opportunity, like we were talking about, to break the economy of Wisla and put them on that back foot, that's gone. That's been cast aside. We will still see a force spike coming out from Heat. Those 2 save rifles really forming the backbone as Afro takes the L and drops down to the Deagle. But Wisla have got their full firepower. They've got the AKs out again. Snatchy this time has got the AWP to try and rain even more havoc. And for Heat, they're already starting to struggle with utility on a couple of players. Jocko's dropped pretty much all of his up towards A.
Yeah, hoping to just kind of warn them away for now. The goal, of course, being to push them in towards B, where the weapons will hopefully have a bit more success, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They're all pushing out Monster already. Unfortunately, Heat weren't quite ready. They're caught in rotation, and despite a kill from Lucky, that doesn't really look to be enough. Sobal has 1 more player to deal with here in the pit. It's actually going to be quite patient, and it works out perfectly for him. Down to 4 health, sure, but again, they've managed to just lock the 2 remaining players out of the bomb site. And Joko and Afro realize there's not really much that they can do. Both players forced away. No kills yet either, because they've been left in this position a couple of times, and it's even only 1 M4 that they're going to carry over. I don't think there's anything for Afro to recover. Although, actually, sorry, a player did die at the back of mid here, so he might be trying to recover that weapon.
Potentially. I think that might be a minimap bug. Yeah,
wondering, because I was thinking there wasn't
one
the
down
lurker,
on
right?
B. Hey, it's
There we
disappeared.
go. I was kind of confused.
I love our production team. Just sorting it out for us nice and smoothly. So it will only be the 1 rifle saved. And you hate to say that Heat are a little unlucky there, but they arguably are, right? There's been a few rounds now. That last one, maybe if they win the battle in Connector, maybe if there's not 3 players when Jocko gets aggressive into Playground. This time, well, it's a pop right as they're rotating away. Exercise gets caught in no man's land, and their body, admittedly, again, should be winning that fight. Sobel on 4 HP, he has to be getting that kill. If he does, it's an even 3-on-3 on the site itself. And then maybe you see a little more resistance, but just not quite able to get it done. It gives Wisla another. It allows them to save, because we're seeing Heat so consistently having to keep 1 or 2 players alive, having to juggle the rifles around. It's allowing Wisla to get through these rounds with 4 or 5 players on the board and just keep building up that bank. That bank that just 2 rounds ago was looking so unstable. Now pretty much everyone has got at least a buy in the bag, and then they're probably going to get a second if that lost bonus starts knocking up. So as Heat take the time out, they try and work out what on earth they can buy. It's very early to be calling it, but it is not a good look for the CT side.
Yeah, especially with the intent to keep on buying. Sure, they don't have the investment on everyone, but Lucky and Afro, unless they get a bit done, won't have quite enough to get the buy with them in the next round. And just having any sort of weaknesses in the buys at the moment really isn't going to help them out how much they're struggling. Snatchy, holding in towards connector, might get a gift soon enough. A little bit of a spam going through, which I thought was going to be for Lucky to take the peak, but no, they actually managed to blow the door off and deal with Soball instead. So that is easily the best start that they've had into a round so far. A kill untraded, sure they do take some damage, but still they've got the man advantage for now, and it takes a bit of that pressure off, which really was mounted not only because of the rounds that they're facing already, but because of the fact that they have so little utility with still 1:20 on that clock.
This was never going to be a great buy with what was saved into it, so getting an initial kill, like you said, on that M4, getting away with it. It's a nice little win early on, and it allows them to be a little more proactive with things. You can see Jocko holding in the bathrooms for a while, now going to start aggressing up long. Lucky, after getting that initial pick, has reset his angle and is going to play an off one towards the bins. The flashbang is good though. Jedka will be traded 1-for-1. Afro, this time with the scout out towards long, is just buying time for the flank, and you can see Jocko on the minimap absolutely hightailing it through. Snatchy firing away on that AWP, has got no idea. That's a free kill for Jocko, and now the T side is stuck. They've got to cover their backs and they've got to try and make their way into the site, and there is 4 CT players ready and waiting for them with 30 seconds left on the clock. Afro even considering going through that smoke because Jocko gets himself an AWP, and with 25 seconds, where do they even plant? Goofy's going to try and stick it open to Bank, just about gets away with it, but it leaves him 1v4, and Afro will deal with him much better from HEET.
Yeah, I liked it. They didn't have the nades either, so just do some damage, fall back, and play on that retake. And as you can see, just having the positions, the ability to spam in, done so much damage, making it impossible for them to get any sort of positioning in the after plant. So really well played. They keep 4 alive, which is also super important. They have the op on towards Afro, which is going to be carried over, so they have a chance to really stabilize their economy, as long as they can deal with another gun round now from Wisla beforehand. The economy, as you were saying, is there for at least one buy on the players that are in a weaker position. For everyone else, there's still going to be enough for another one left over, so the pressure definitely is going to be kept on here for a while. He, again, not only need to take this round, but ideally with at least 3 or so players surviving. Otherwise, it's not going to be too sustainable.
Damage exchange. The wallbang pros are so good at this. Just lining them up, chipping away, body down to 40 HP. Yet to see a player, but already tanking damage, and already a decent amount of map control established for this T side. Goofy's managed to take short. Sobble there to back him up. They're starting to probe their way through Fountain. And oh, Jedka, that is disgusting. More wallbangs. Finally, the kill comes through onto body. Tagged up initially. The headshot through the wood will deal with him. And that is exactly the start that HEET did not need here. They've got themselves around finally. This is their stabilizing opportunity, and they're 4v5 without seeing a single damn player. Sobble just backing away from the 2-man monster stack, and it looks like Wisla are going to make their way back up towards that A site.
Yeah, not really leaving any lurkers either, so probably will be moving relatively quickly. Joko's actually up close on this short smoke right now. He's going to need to fall back. They don't have a follow-up smoke. They've only got a molly that can be tossed down. So if he stays up close as he did in the round before, then again, he may be looking at maybe a one and done. Going to need to come out on top of the situation. And there we go, a good start. Jedker falls, even has time to spin around. It's the help of Afro, though, that deals with Soball. And well, now it's only Snatchy that's left standing. He was waiting for someone to overextend and show themselves to that op. Unfortunately, all of his teammates die before he can do anything at all. And he managed to spin around the round in just a second, really, there. Going from looking pretty rough to in a pretty clean round. Obviously, losing one more player to Snatchy now is not ideal. I don't want to see them throw their weapons away here, honestly. I know saving the op is going to allow it to be in play here in the next round, but they're already going to have at least 3 rifles. Sparrow could have dropped one if they wanted it anyway, that badly. The one extra weapon really wasn't worth throwing away 2 of their own right there.
It was the AWP as well. Body's had to buy that up. Get it across to his teammate. That's such a big weapon to be thrown away. Jump peeking for an AWP pick that, you, like you said, didn't really need to go for. There was still going to be 3 rifles on the board regardless. Sure, it's a little extra firepower, but at this point you really should be prioritizing your own economy. And oh, Afro, that's risky. Snatchy wins out that duel of the AWPers, and will that lost AWP last round really start to come back to haunt HEET? Afro already dropping his early, and once more it's this CT side. Early 4 on 5. This time, just through a slight misplay from Afro. Flashbang into that, he likely gets the kill instead. It's Wisla who find themselves a man up and forced to make some aggressive plays with Jocko here out towards long, but there's an AK ready to face this.
Yeah, not going to be finding the fight quite yet. Might be Joko instead who ends up having to take it against Sparrow in the background. He does a bit of damage, takes just as much pretty much, so I don't think sticking around here is going to be a good idea, but he needs to bait it out for his teammate, and he lines them up. Joko gets away with 2 somehow. Does overpeak, I'd say, afterwards. Didn't really need to give his life away there. The man advantage could have been very handy. But look at this timing. That player coming deep in through connector right now. He's not actually going to spot them moving up connector towards middle, but he might have the ability for a flank. The problem is Snatchy goes down. Can Sobol make it in time to have the impact now before his team starts to deal with the issues as well? And there you go. He at least finds exercise. His teammate wrapping back in from long as well. May be able to catch Lucky, who's pretty open. There we go. Indeed, it's going to be brought down now to just body left standing. And they should have an idea that he's towards this A bomb site as he has been before. And because of that, they're going to hightail it down connector.
Should be able to get it freely as well. They even had a molly to potentially use, but instead they're going to lob it onto this B site. Expecting the CT play in his body. Charging down Con after them, who will get an initial frag. Buys himself the 1v1. He's got utility to play with as well. Sobol is jammed into this site. There's really nothing he can do. The molly goes water. Won't quite clear him out, but he's just going to go for it, and Sobol is there. Finds the kill. It's an absolute arm wrestle of a round, you have to say. A constant back and forth between both of these teams, but it's Wisla who come out on top. And almost immediately, that CT economy starts to buckle again. Yes, Exercise and Jocko have got cash, but everybody else is struggling majorly, and it does all arc back to that initial pick, right? If that's an initial 5-on-4 in favor of Heat, they probably get the job done. This isn't even a 1v1 that Body has to take, but because Afro goes for it, because Snatchy was able to take so many rifles away with that AWP, it suddenly starts to look so much uglier for the CT side again.
Yeah, and they're also feeling the effects of those 2 weapons that they kind of threw away, hunting down Snatchy a couple of rounds back, unfortunately. As you can see, they'll just about scrape it together, but if they hadn't lost those 2 weapons, you'd have both Joko and Lucky very likely on the full M4s. A few more nades would be available as well. But they do still have enough that they can make this one work, and they need to. If they lose this, it's going to be going down. They'll definitely be going down 7-2 before they have another buy, and at that stage, they'll just need to be flawless if they want to come out with a CT side that they could be happy with. So it is a pretty difficult position right now for Heat to be in. Looking like we're probably just going to see the pretty standard default again. Focused on the water control, though, over towards B, and we're actually seeing Heat being a bit more aggressive themselves over on the A side of things. Pushing a player up close to play around the smoke, at least. Afro's not going to fully commit, but he is, I believe, ready to watch in towards party if needed. And yeah, he does have the scope already in. I don't think he's going to be given much, though. It doesn't seem like Snatchy's being sent out to actually fight people.
Nice nade stack onto Exercise. Doesn't quite find the kill that the T side would have been looking for, and a jump peek from Body has actually confirmed there was a lot of presence in towards short as well. So a little more utility drop, a little more time bought. Snatchy could be key to this, but as Body boosts up and gets one, he goes down to that close range MP9. And what was such a promising start, once again, starts to just fall by the wayside. Nate does good work onto Sobol as he looks to lurk out short, and you can see the flank already starting to come in here. Jocko hightailing it down towards that B site. They know it has to be B. Sparrow somehow wins his 1v1, but then the backstab comes in, and Sobol, it's a rough spray to try and trade it down. That buys more time for these rotations to come in. It's a 2-on-3, and Goofy is so isolated at this point. The bomb, not even interested. Goofy's going to wander out into no man's land. And what does Sobol even look to achieve here? 29 HP, 1v3, Body down on that B site, but Afro has not fallen for it whatsoever. He's posted up Banana, and he should be able to hear these footsteps sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's just got to be the save at this point for Sobol. It's going to leave him in a bit of an awkward spot because the rest of his team don't really have the money, so they'll have the 1 AK, really just a hero rifle to work with in this next round. But I don't mind it, considering the score that they have currently. If he can just get a couple of kills out of that AK, if the pistols can get a bit of work done as well, and just make it a costly round. Although they might probably will just force this. I only realized that they were actually all the way back down to the beginner loss bonus. So we'll likely see them get pistols at least around that AK, which, I mean, can be scary for Heat to deal with for sure, especially if they get a quicker round thrown at them, but it's a big opportunity now, because if they overcome that, then they just have an eco to deal with. Suddenly they're up towards 5 rounds and things are looking much, much better. So we can see the opportunity now for them to get themselves right back into this game. But again, they have an AK, they have a Scout, a couple Tech 9s, and a Deagle to deal with. And considering the level of skill we know some of these Wisla players have, I'm not going to count them out quite yet.
Certainly not a done deal, but as you said, a big chance to start stamping their authority on this map. Short control taken early. Lucky going for a swing. Doesn't spot anything out. That's not going to really convince HEET that the B site is unoccupied for now. They're happy to keep their man posted in short through Lucky. Will mean a third player starts to rotate their way back up. Jocko playing in and around that connector. It does leave Afro and Body to a certain extent having to float between the two sites. Means they're normally you'd look for 3 down on B, so it leaves them a little bit underguarded. But with 50 seconds left, Wisla really haven't taken anything. They're short, like we sometimes do. They haven't gone for the early front bathrooms control, and that's allowed HEET, as much as yes, they're burning utility, to just sit back. This is normally something you'd see when it's just default pistols: is sit as far back as you can, use the time to maybe talk strats, and then burn the utility of the T side. Not when you've got 5 perfectly viable weapons available, and well, with 30 seconds left, you just go wandering into the MP9. Jocko with a quad kill. That is exactly the worst possible circumstance for Wisla. Jedka is left alone. He's got 8 kill and an AK-47, but he needs so much more. He's going to get nothing. Smooth sailing for HEET, and you have to say a let-off as well. That strategy from Wisla felt flawed from the start.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. As you said, going for the force buy, but then just hanging back like that. They were expecting some aggression from HEET, but he had no reason to throw it out. They knew they had gotten the economy down for Wisla, that it was very likely even a force buy because of the saved weapon. Even if they weren't all in a position where they had to force buy because of the economy anyway, there was certainly a chance they'd go for it either way around the AK. So they had no reason to overextend, play things a little bit safer. Now they know they're up against an eco, and this is maybe where I throw a bit more aggression in, just to get in the mind of Wisla and maybe have them expecting it into that next gun round even. But it seems like no, HEET are happy enough. They'll keep on with their standard play in towards B water, peeking mini monster as I call it, and hopefully now just pick off a couple players at range before those pistols can close in, make it a clean round.
Does feel like HEET, almost like an AI, are just slowly learning how Wisla like to play and learning what works and what doesn't. So Jocko in the second or third round get caught out by that flashbang, close bins. Next time he plays closer to the angle, so he dodges the flash. This time they've learned that Lucky can get away with short control. He's going to go for exactly that play again, and it's going to lead him to a backstab opportunity. Pop flash in, multiple players there ready to receive. It's a 2-for-1 initially. Low HP bars though, and the Glocks are going to manage to grab some good kills here, buying an even 2-on-2 in fact. With 45 seconds left on the clock, 2 rifles to be recovered. Out of absolutely nothing, the Glocks up close and personal have just battled it out. Afro should be able to stabilize and will with a big kill onto Snatchy that leaves Jedka 1v2. But again, regardless of the outcome of this round, it's a really nice win for Wisla. 3 frags already to his name. Jedka may be able to grab a little bit more for the team here as he starts to sneak his way up long. Afro is aware, but he's got to hold 2 angles at once. No support from Exercise, so really is left a little out in the lurch, and the timing really could be everything, but Afro is up to the task. Levels things out at 5 apiece, admittedly, with a huge economic hit.
Yeah, considering what they went into that round with, I think Wisla can be really happy. Their buy here won't have the opto, which is a little bit unfortunate for Snatchy, but he's capable on the rifle. The only other weakness really is that Galil that they've got in play, so still a pretty decent buy. Wisla, though, do want to grind out at least, I'd say, 3 more rounds to be happy with where this goes, considering the lead that they had at one point. So they will want to start picking it up pretty soon. Joko's nade not going to land as intended. It might have done some damage if it did. This boost, on the other hand, would have maybe been effective, but they had actually started to fall back away. On the X-ray initially, I thought he was jumping up in the party. But again, just the default from Wisla. It looks like their focus, though, this time is to crunch in towards middle. Get the connector control, work their way up. The problem is, there's also a player pushed in through B water right now, close on the mini monster, that they probably could deal with in the same fashion if they were to split him with the player they have outside monster. Oh, and they've spotted him, so they're likely to do that.
Oh, Goofy's taking a lot of damage. Goes down, and that's actually forcing Wisla to rethink the plan. More support flooding in after that initial frag, and you can see the confidence starting to brew in HEET. Lucky manages to double up onto Jedka. A little bit of a cheeky smoke play from Jocko, grabs a third, and once again, the plan really falls by in tatters for Wisla. Like you said, it felt like they had a really solid split onto that short player. Instead, it's Afro picking off Sparrow at the extremities of the map and leaving Sobel in a 1v5. He'll at least get the initial kill, but down to 16 HPs. Health points. Normally we take that S off the end, but apparently my brain is just feeling it this evening. And with bomb down on long, there really is nothing more Sobel can do. Might want to die at this point, given where the loss bonus is, just to keep his economy level with the rest of his team. But for now, lurking in towards that connector with 15 seconds left, hoping maybe somebody gets a little too keen on it, but there's nothing coming his way. He are not going to give him an inch. Sobel grabs himself that AK-47, and now, yep, just going to tuck himself into the back of connector to try and save it. Exercise might go for a little push here. He's thinking about it. He drops, he spots him, he gets him after time as well. Oh, as if it couldn't get any worse for Wisla.
That was, yeah, literally worst case scenario right in the last moment. Sobel's going to be kicking himself, but just the fact that that round went as poorly as it did was very surprising to me. As I said, it looked like they had themselves in good positions. Unfortunately, with the door gun, I think it was in connector, once that smoke faded, they seemed a little bit too antsy initially to push up connector and try and push towards mid as the plan looked to be, considering they had two ready to go from mid as well. But yeah, obviously the player in towards short is what really turned it all on its head. Very aggressive right now, knowing they're against the weaker buy. I said they might have thrown this in earlier on. Now they're going to go for it. The problem is there's a few more pistols to actually put up a bit of a fight. And, well, we've seen how that previous one went without really any investment either way, with it only coming down to two players standing. So this is pretty scary. Sparrow gets that opening kill. He won't get the weapon quite yet, and he doesn't really have a lot of health to work with. But they have a second player trapped in. Unfortunately for them, though, Snatchy falls, and with that body, if he wants, has the freedom to fall back away, although he doesn't realize it.
Just grabbed at that kill a little bit. Not quite able to adjust. Needed a clean one Deeg and just couldn't quite connect it, so Body will be able to get away with that one. Felt very trapped, very stifling, claustrophobic almost for Heat there, with Body caught an initial frag against them, but as he finds the recovery, now the pop into B. Do they expect this boost up? Normally something you'll see on a retake. Exercise looking to pull it out early here. Support from Heaven in the form of Body as well. They have just dropped off that boost, and the timing incredibly ugly as Body is desperately trying to connect shots, but he knows he's low HP. Now that extra utility starts to flush them out of the sight, and the damage is massive. Lucky taking full advantage with a triple. And Sparrow, once again, he's just trying to see what he can get done with the Deeg. He will be able to grab himself a second kill in the round at the very least. But it's Heat who come out arguably on top there. Very smooth stuff. If they hadn't dropped that boost, I suspect they would have got through it even cleaner as well.
And considering they're now a 7-5, I think things are going pretty well for Heat. It's been 6 rounds in a row. Wisla seemingly running into a brick wall, and even when these rounds come closer, it seems like Heat are able to grind it out in the clutches. So I do like what we're starting to see from them. Again, very surprising, since their stats here on Overpass are quite weak, but that's got to be one of the positives of being a team who's been together for so long. Not only the core, but even since they added their most recent edition of Exercise, that's been a long-ass time at this point since they were double pony. So they have the ability to adapt on the fly, as you said, almost like an AI learning how to go against their opponent based on what they need. Let's see, have Wisla got that ability? Because what they've been giving us over the past few rounds has not been working, and it's not looking a lot different now, other than the fact that Heat aren't giving them as much aggression in return.
Happy to sit back, save a little more of that utility for the late round. 3 players still bunkered in towards that B site. Again, limited utility to really break through it. For the T side, there's no flashes at all. 2 smokes, 2 mollies. They're going to try and lurk out Monster. We've seen this work previously for Sparrow. He's already all the way out before anyone even looks his way. Exercise. Smoke goes into the molly that's intended to flush him out, so they know in all likelihood there's a player there. A nade dunks onto him down to 42, but Wisla is stalled with 40 seconds left. Yes, they're out Monster, but they're yet to really get into the site itself. Body is still there. Exercise still alive. Finally, Sobel deals with Jocko, and they expect Exercise. They know this is his cheeky play, so as Afro trades 1-for-1, he will be hunted down and dealt with. His death has bought Body a little bit of room to breathe, though, and the double spray down connects. Sobel on 10 HP, having got the initial pick to get them in, is the last to die at the sword. Heat have their 8th, and again, it's such a promising round for Wisla. They get in, they get their picks, they know the setup. Goofy knows exactly where to look, but even in death, Exercise is buying time, buying space, keeping players distracted long enough for Body, and that flank is just so nicely timed up bridge, just as the smoke fades, he gets his pick.
Yeah, I don't think they're managing to run enough of the nades down during their defaults either. They're being a bit too passive, not really pressuring as much as you'd like to see, because they're expecting that aggression to come in, or at least they were in that previous round. So obviously they didn't have an easy time getting into that bomb site once they started the push. They just halted completely, basically. This boost, we've seen it a few times. It has caught them off guard already once before, and it's going to do it again. The nade might even get the finish. Should do, I believe. No, just a little too deep. The Edgar going to get away with it for now, but commitment in towards B, I don't think it's going to leave them with their lives for too much longer. Hoping to get maybe just a couple of kills from this. There's one, there's two. That is not bad at all. They've got themselves up on the bomb site. They have maybe even some weapons. Perhaps a bomb plant. The problem is it's all the way back on short. Yeah, just noticed that they had to send the monster player back, and he's not even ready for the flank down connector. Joko, he's going to finish it off, and that's 9-5. This has been 8 rounds in a row now, I believe. Wisla, after a tremendous start here on their own map choice, have just gone completely missing. And this is shocking again. Heat have played this 6 times, but they've only got like 1 victory on it.
Of course, Body would pick off on that boost the one player who's carrying the bomb. Of all the targets he could have selected, right, he lands the bomb carrier, and then enough damage onto the second player that he's not thinking about going back and getting bomb. He's just thinking about staying alive, buying time. Huge round for Heat. Like you said, so many on the trot at this point that it really is starting to look a little dire. We will say, and I will mention, that Heat do tend to be fairly aggressively CT-sided on this map when they occasionally come over and play it. So it's not all lost yet for Wisla. And a 6th round here would be a big win, but Body with the flashbang in has found yet more purchase. Goofy goes down early. Snatchy, admittedly on the angle, but you have to imagine Body isn't going to give him it, and he actually flushes him right into Joko. Aggression compounded on aggression, and it works out beautifully for the CT side. It's going to lead to the B pot, but Exercise is waiting for it. Heat know exactly what the response to their aggression is, and they get a 1-for-1 trade at the very least from it. 2-on-4 now. Exercise, admittedly in no man's land, will go down, but it's still that man advantage, and a full 3-man retake to come in from short. They haven't really got the utility for this Heat. 1 flashbang on Body is all they've got, so maybe Jedka and Sparrow can steal something away here. Their after-plant positions aren't great. Bomb is planted nice and open, though, and that does start to sow the seeds of doubt. Afro spotted, tapped away by Jedka, but there's the trade again from Joko, and Sparrow is left. 1v2 to contend with, so many angles to hold. There's no real utility. Joko smokes off the bomb, and that gives Sparrow time. Body looks to play it from on high, and there's the clutch. 1v2. Wisla have their 6th round right at the death of things. And you have to say that feels like a bare minimum, considering they went 4-0, considering they had so much momentum early on. A 9-6 half, it's the absolute minimum you'd really expect from Wisla.
Yeah, it's got to be at least a slight relief, though, for them that they were finally able to crack through with that 6th round. But also, at the same time, very disappointing, because how many rounds did they have advantages? Did they have an early pick? And then it just crumbled as soon as they tried to hit in towards one of those actual bomb sites. And that's something we've got to say, well done to Heat. They were doing a great job, even especially when they had minimal utility. They were doing a good job of just setting up in those bomb sites, playing well for the time and playing off of each other. And it worked out well. We've gotten the opposite of what we talked about. We said we expected the team effort to come in from the boys on Wisla. It's been Heat who've all been able to step up when it's been required. And on the other hand, Wisla have really struggled. Snatchy hasn't really had a chance to get the op going since that first stretch of rounds either, so he hasn't been able to stand out as we hoped he would. And they're just going to need a lot more now on the CT side. They're going to need to take this 2nd pistol round as they did the first.
I will say CT are quite often a lot more viable. Overpass to me really feels like an Orpa's playground, so I think Snatchy, there's still plenty of potential for him to have impact. If they take the pistol, they take the conversions cleanly, they get themselves rolling early, I feel like there's still plenty of opportunity. But you're right, it really felt like Heat had done their 2-on-3. There is a fast flank here. Goofy, not expected just yet, will be able to grab at least one as Exercise doesn't quite land the shot he was after. And that starts to throw this plant into disarray as well. Afro is isolated out towards the truck, and Goofy is resetting his angle. Lucky has no idea. He'll be tapped away from the back, and Afro, well, he's got to clutch out 1v2. He's baited the rotation down to be out. Sobble has fallen for it, but he takes his knife out at the worst possible moment, and now they know exactly what's about to come through. Goofy is already all the way into short, and surely as soon as he hears that bomb going down, he is actually going to go monster. I thought he'd peek out short, And that's given Afro perhaps a second lease at life here. He's going to play this one aggressively, knowing he needs an early pick here because Goofy's position an utter unknown. And as he sneaks out Monster, timing going to be absolutely everything. Afro gets the first though, and he hears the drop. He knows exactly where Sobol is, and he'll find the 1v2. Clutch up from Afro, and a critical pistol falls by the wayside for Wisla.
Really well played right there. He needed to take a risk after putting that bomb down as well, and I like the idea. Push up to the spawn. It's not even planted for a, hoping that they won't expect it, and manages to just play it out perfectly up close on that Glock. It's always dangerous trying to hunt the Glock, unfortunately, but there wasn't really any other option. They had to charge him down and hope they could land their own headshot. Heat are going to get that second pistol round. Again, a reminder, Wisla took the first pistol round. They went up 5-1 at one point, and this is their map choice. Since then, they've just been completely missing. They'll have a force by now at least to try and give a little bit of a fight back, but if this goes south, it's going to be 12-6 before they have guns. And if that first gun round doesn't work, then it's going to be very little fighting opportunity left for them. Not a bad trade, though, to kick things off. A good shot by Goofy. They unfortunately lose Sobol. They are going to have still a couple of scouts alongside those deagles, so damage can certainly still be done. And the bomb's alone outside B for now.
Exercise on an MP7. Not something you see every day. Getting some Chris J vibes from that one.
I'm actually trying to remember the last time I've seen one purchased. I can't.
I think it would have been when I was watching Chris J at some point. He was one of the few players who actually did.
Maybe on defense. On T side, it's a strange choice.
I'm going to try and make it work in and around those bathrooms, though, as you're right, Body is still lurking outside Monster. With that bomb on his back, they'll have to join him. 40 seconds left, and they're going to leave Exercise to throw a one-man fake here. In fact, make it 2 as Afro looks to join him with a little bit more utility of his own, hoping to draw a rotation, but it's not going to come through. It's a standard 2-2 split, and Goofy up close and personal could get a lot done here. Deagle spam is brutally effective, but Body is even more so. A nasty flick catches Goofy through the wall, and with 20 seconds left, it's all about timing now. Exercise on the backstab has got one, and it's this Deagle, Jedka, who has to do it all, and he can't find a damn thing. Jocko rips his head clean from his body, and Exercise, well, they'll take the tag from Snatchy on the chin to clean things up. An 11th on the board. It was a little close for Heat, but that aim from Body to find the first shot really unlocks that B site single-handedly.
Yeah, it wasn't far off flicking back and hitting the other player as well. That would have been absolutely nasty, but yeah, he left Goofy's face looking goofy after that one. 11-6, it's going to be 12 with little resistance, I'd imagine. I want to say that, but we did see some rounds in the previous half where these weaker boys were still doing really good damage, especially with a risk like this being taken. All 5 players going to stack up in towards Connector. See this a lot in the likes of matchmaking. Might not be expected here, but if I was on Wisla either. And considering it's just USP, as I understand it, as close as personal as you can possibly be. Actually, some good damage even being done at range against that MP7.
I want to be a little cautious here. Jocko has at least managed to find the opener, but Pistols with a real opportunity to overwhelm with that opening damage. And as soon as I say it, well, the AK's just come in, mop everything up without so much as blinking. Nice and smooth for Heat. They just walk right into the stack and say thank you very much for all the kills. Body needed a little more to pat the stats. Pat the stats?
Yeah, I do that sometimes as well.
Pad. There we go. It really has been one of those days, but we'll get there. We'll warm up. We'll get into it. Wisla really needs to warm up and get into it right now, though. AWP in the hands of Snatchy. 4 rifles to work with. This has to be the round, you have to think. Needs something to start going their way. Needs Snatchy to start having some impact, because Wisla are really running out of chances over on the CT side of the Overpass.
Yeah, while things will still look decent for them on Inferno, with it not being a bad map for them, it'll be a lot better for Heat as well. So yeah, this is not looking good. A rotation back towards the bomb site now could be a little bit awkward if he's caught in rotation, but I think he's made his way back to the van and has indeed spotted Exercise, I believe. Problem is, he doesn't have any support. Apparently, he didn't get the info because Snatchy had no idea. It's going to be a second kill on the Sparrow as well, and that's the A-bomb site gone. They've got to save already. Bring these weapons over, hopefully manage to do something with it in the next round. Otherwise, they're on another eco. They're going down 14-6, and you just won't really have any chance at all to put in a fight. Although that one kill on towards Body before the bomb has even gone down. On towards where the bomb is actually in place could maybe turn things around if they get lucky, especially. And there you go, the timing was horrible. The problem is, Sobol doesn't realize the bomb is back in spawn. If he had have pushed forward, he could have taken control of it, and with there not being a lot of time, that could have been what they needed. But they're still maybe even getting it done on kills.
They don't know they've got the A site. The T side have abandoned it to try and get that bomb, and that started to make things even more awkward. 30 seconds left. Suddenly, Wisla are thinking we can do this. Utility up onto the A site should start to give the game away. Sobble and Jedka should be able to rotate in without too much trouble. In 20 seconds, that bomb's still a long way away. If they can deny it, if they can flood this site with bodies with 15 seconds left on the clock, it starts to get very ugly. Jocko hightailing it in. This timing is going to be everything. Afro dodges the flashbang but can't land the shot, and that's bomb down. 5 seconds. Not like this, Double Pony. Oh, I'm calling you Double Pony because that is an old school error. You cannot be giving those away. Heat. 2-on-4, site taken, Exercise with the rattiest of timings, dodges the jump peek, Sparrow gets both entries, and because the bomb's outside Monster, because it's dropped on a peak that didn't need to be taken, just slowly but surely the kills start flooding back the way of the CT side, and that is a round absolutely stolen from underneath Heat's grasp.
Okay, I understand the read there that, yeah, they've lost 2 players up on A. Either they rotate straight up to A or else they push out Monster, so you get the kill and can probably go in B. But you had A bomb side. Play it safe at that point. He's alone with the bomb as well, so he knows that if he does die, it's going to take them quite a while to recover, and that's what led to the whole thing just spiraling out of control. That seems like maybe a bit of overconfidence from Heat because they haven't been able to make any mistakes, it seemed, over the past 11 or so rounds. Either way, they have enough to get their buyback in, and they have a chance to try and fire right back and potentially, again, just break that economy for Wisla completely. A little bit of damage done on the spam there, but nothing too serious. Heat are moving a lot quicker on taking their map control, we've got to say, especially focused over towards A.
Afro's taken a hefty dink on that comp peak. He very nearly caught Jedka on the jump peak. He was holding for it right until the moment he went for it. In return, he's taken a bullet to the skull through the woods, so has to be a little more cautious now, the AWPer. Snatchy playing relatively solo on this site without his favored AWP as well. Long support a little way away in the form of Sparrow, so he's going to get aggressive with it. Hoping to catch a timing. Instead, he catches a flashbang full blind. Exercise takes his time with it. A free pick, and that's going to cause some very panicked rotations. You can see Heat are aware of it. Looking to pressure the B site right as they expect those rotations to come in, but Sparrow's threaded the needle, and with Sobble picking the kill down on B, this again starts to look ugly. Lucky trying to capitalize will only find the one. Sobble again there to trade, and Sparrow on the backstab's got one more. How do they keep getting away with this, Wisla? They keep reading the play, and once again, Jocko is going out Monster on his own with bomb on his back. He goes down, and that's round. There's nothing Exercise can do about this. With 8 seconds left on the clock, he'd do well, honestly, to die and keep his economy level with his team, but as that clock dips lower and lower, he's going to be forced to save the AK. And man, it feels like they're fumbling the ball, Dean. It feels like they think they should just be getting rounds, and they're not necessarily thinking them all the way through.
Yeah, this is a little bit strange. Honestly, saving that weapon works out for them. They can manage to get the drop over. I think one player will be stuck buying for themselves. Lucky, but he had 3,200 if I'm remembering correctly, so their buy will be okay. But whenever they get into these positions where they have advantages, it doesn't really seem like they're willing to regroup. I mean, I understand that you don't want to leave all the map control you're out there gaining, but maybe leave someone to hold it, fall back, try and group up and stick in a pair and wait for that counter aggression that you know is going to come from the team that are down a man. You don't need to keep on peeking and just giving things away. The problem now is they're actually swapping it up and going for the boost back and spawn just as the aggression from Wisla comes in. So they have lost all control over on the side of A. Exercise is trapped in. He's even been spammed up. I don't even think he'd been completely noted that he was there, but the spam works out for some damage. The problem is Exercise still comes away with the kill, so that is not a bad result. The issue now is those players grouping outside Monster. It looks like they're ready to move in towards B already. And it works.
Timing. Jocko gets the freebie. Sparrow left out on an island. Only good for the one. And, well, a couple of mistakes made. I don't think Heat are going to be fumbling this one, though. Bomb already in towards that B site. CT's already hightailing it out towards A long. Nothing more to be said. Simple as that. I have to say, if they get that initial pick on Exercise, it's a different round. He takes the dink through the wood. Felt like it should have been a done deal. Chooses that moment to swing wide and get the freebie. And then a little more fortune with the timing will net Heat their 13th round. Rifle save is absolutely essential for Wisla as well. You have to say, they've not really built that economy at all. Every round has been close. Every round has been a big moment from somebody. So saving this AWP and M4 is going to be crucial to their hopes of really responding anytime soon.
As you said, that was quite unlucky because even if Exercise goes down, they probably instantly realize there's no one else there when no one tries to trade it and when no other noise is made. So they probably would have been a lot more prepared for that B hit. Even if they didn't get another player rotated down, you likely wouldn't have had Sobal trying to put himself up into this boost position. Instead, he likely would have stuck in towards that close monster and maybe come away with a kill or two to delay. And perhaps the round goes a different way off the back of that. Instead, now their economy is left in shambles. They don't decide to force around it, which I do admire, but even then, they're only just about scraping a bite together in this next round. So you really do have to hope that this M4 and off can get something done, because going down 8-14 on your own map choice is never a good position to be in. Some decent damage was done, but it's returned just about evenly as Afro flicks up and manages to land in return.
Just a blind shot on a suspected boost, levels things up. Goofy takes a leg as well. He almost catches body off guard, but that low HP bar is all too easy just to chip away at through the wall. Body finds another huge kill, 19 and 10 at the moment. Choco, the only player on the entire server who's really able to match those kind of numbers. And at this point, again, this round's a done deal. Snatchy and Jedka are already thinking about saving the AWP and M4 respectively, and Exercise where he's thinking about doing just the opposite. Wants this hunt, and if he clears close right, he's got a free kill on the AWP, he knows it. Gonna try for the trigger discipline, will instead just execute. And that's a big kill to find as well, because as we said, even in the previous round, the economy wasn't quite there. It's still going to be tight in this one, and an AWP is something that I don't think anyone on Wisla is realistically going to be able to afford. So if he'd managed to save that, it would have been a huge win. Instead, it's looking like it's going to go from bad to worse as Exercise pivots on a dime to deal with Sobal. They're trying to recover that AWP. Exercise is trying to make sure it's as difficult as possible to do so. It does leave him vulnerable, but at this point, honestly, I don't think he's even that fussed about losing the AK. He just wants to make sure that AWP isn't recovered, and it's going to leave Jedka as the only player left alive. He does just about have enough. I didn't quite get the math right, and immediately he goes for it. Drops the AWP over to Snatchy, and this round is really do or die now for Wisla. On their map pick, this has to work.
Yeah, it's their last full buy unless they're somehow able to save all their weapons over in this next round while losing it, which is pretty slim chances. So they do need to get it done, and that makes it very reasonable for them to be calling this pause in right now. I don't think they've used as many of these tactical pauses. It's actually a timeout from HEET, okay. Is that kind of rubbing it in, or is that just ensuring that they're going to be able to get themselves up towards 15? Because you have that sometimes, especially in these lower tier games. A team gets up towards 14 or 15, and then maybe they start to slow down a little bit, feeling a little bit complacent. He perhaps just wanting to make sure that doesn't happen, and knowing, of course, that this is a massive swing round, with this being potentially the last gun round for Wisla.
We've seen it from HEET before as well, right, where they do just take their foot off the gas. We've seen it in this game already, where they started to slow down a little bit, started to look like they were making uncharacteristic mistakes on their T side. So I don't mind them taking that pause. They've got the time to do so. They've got the pauses in the back pocket. Just take your time with this. Make sure no mistakes to be made. Jedka boosting up, looking for a big opening pick, and he'll grab it. Snatchy with one of his own as well. Picking off Afro deep outside Monster. We said that AWP needed to start having impact, and it's done just that. Jedka chimes in with one more through the wood. And this round, as quick as it began, is almost immediately done for HEET. They wanted to up the pace into Short and Monster respectively, and well, Wisla have matched that man for man. 2 on 5 now for Exercise and Lucky, and with a 6-round buffer, the only thing they should really be looking for here is damage. Take away 2-3 rifles. Keep that CT economy on a knife edge. And then if you can steal this next round away, then it's just going to go from bad to worse, and Wisla really shouldn't be able to buy.
And that would be the ideal position. Keep them as close to broken as possible. Oh, economy-wise and mind-wise, I suppose at this point losing a few players definitely wouldn't help with the mentality. Nice shot by Exercise. He does a little spin afterwards as a celebration. But I don't think there's really much more they can come away with. Although, as I say that, Lucky picks off one, but the flank he is not expecting. It looked like maybe he was turning around to wait for it, but unfortunately he ends up getting caught with a nade out, I believe it was. Either way, 14-9. It's going to be a crucial round that goes Wisla's way, off the back of an interesting little play there as well, with Jedker just waiting to peek over the boost. But again, they make it at least costly enough Heat do so that they can come back in. They still have, I think, like 8,000 on a few players they had kicking this round off, so they have no issues with getting the full buy back in. All of the nades are there once again, and there's still no sort of economy built up in the reserve for 3 of these players on Wisla, so they still cannot afford to lose this round. And well, we're seeing some really aggressive plays. Sparrow, I believe, that is up close. The peek, it doesn't work. It looked like he surely had the drop on Exercise, but it's down to 11 health instead, and the flash to take Snatchy off his angle sends him running back towards the A bomb site as they're forced to give up all of this ground around the A bathrooms. And with that, Heat can afford to slow it down, stick in pairs at the very least, ensure that they're ready to punish any sort of reaction now that comes out from Wisla.
There's the reaction. 2-man monster play. Lucky's going to deal with one and the second. And as much as Snatchy does well to pick up 1 kill, that's the B site. He's going to rotate in as quickly and as desperately as he can, but this timing could not have been worse for Wisla. Jedka was just starting to think, maybe I should be making a play out long here. Maybe I should be trying to catch something, get some aggression going. And instead, he's got to try and make his way all the way down to Snatchy, who at least has made it viable. He's picked one off on the extremities. Body transferring that bomb across has been found. Exercise the next to chance his arm, and Snatchy is up for it. 3 kills in this round already. Low HP, admittedly, and I don't think he's going to expect Lucky. Up close and personal. 1 shot from dead. Snatchy, oh, he pulls the trigger too soon. They know where 1 is, but Jocko is being cheeky about this. Playing up close to the smoke. He spots Snatchy. He whiffs the shot. They know where both of these players are now. They know exactly what to expect, but that bomb is their worst enemy. Already halfway ticked. Jedka deals with 1, and it's on to Lucky. 1v2. He should have been spotted there. He sprays down 1. Whiffs the spray on the second initially, and Jedka will do just enough. He's got the kit. He's got the time. He's got double digits for Wisla.
A lifeline for them as well. There we go, 10 to 14. It looked like all hope was lost, but Snatchy is a hero from the backing graffiti. The fact he was able to get away with that, the fact that they even needed to peek it was just kind of unnecessary. They honestly didn't. Obviously, Lucky, once he's in that position, he needs to take a bit of a stand in the 1-on-2, but even for, I think it was Afro taking the op battle from the pillar, he could have played that a bit more passively. He could have fell back off, even just held the flank for a moment, being ready to play off of the bomb. They had a player who was up close on the ramp and who could have ensured that no one was going to cross and stop that bomb from being planted anyway. But again, a good start from Body. Manages to, I think, get the spam through monster. That's the bomb, though, being dropped. That could be an issue. It's the op as well that's here to try and lock it down. There are smokes that can be put in place to hopefully recover it, but no Snatchy. He's still going to try and get away with a bit more, and well, he gave it a go. At this point, though, I think he wants to probably fall back off and see if they can keep this 4-on-4, especially with the double op setup that they have.
Yeah, they pulled off a 2v4 last round. They're not going to want to put themselves in that position again. 3-man setup down towards that B site, trusting Sparrow on the secondary AWP, who has found good damage, but Lucky actually manages to catch Snatchy just by the feet, and Sparrow has walked right into this, but he gets away with it. Exercise doesn't quite ring the shot out in time. A huge lifeline up on that A site. Flashbang is perfect onto Sobble. Lucky gets another, and now Jedka, you've got to do it all here, mate. 2 before he goes down, and that is exactly the chance he needs to give to Sparrow. Throws the secondary AWP into the 1v1 as Body gets bombed down. Does have a smoke. Allows him to work the exit. No info on Sparrow's position whatsoever besides that last kill out towards A long, and Sparrow is not going to give him any audio cues at all. No utility to throw, so he'll just creep on in. Body looks to exit out monster, spots his prey. Spray down's rough, but he'll get it at the second time of asking. Map point goes the way of Heat. They fumbled the ball a couple of times, but this time Body is there to clutch things up, and they've got 5 opportunities to seal the steal and take their opposition's map pick.
I mean, just neck and neck all the way throughout that round. I like that it's closing in terms of how close it is in these final rounds, but if you're Wisla, again, you've got to be kicking yourself at how some of their own T rounds went, and the fact that they had a 5-1 lead that they weren't able to build much off the back of. This could have been a much better position. They could have had this done already. Instead, now it's only pistols alongside 1 scout that they have to try and get it into a recoverable position, and this is definitely the hardest of the hurdles right now to overcome. Sparrow not able to catch Joko. The timing on his peak was just a little bit too late. If he went out a second earlier, maybe he would have got him. Instead, Soball needs to hit a nice shot, although I don't think Lucky's going to give him the chance until his teammate's ready to peek from connector either, so they should at least be ready for a trade once this comes through. They know they don't really need to give any chances away. They have the advantage. They have the weapons in their favor as well, and, well, opening up the door right there just functions as a little bit of a distraction, I suppose. The Body twitching on the ground as well. Very violent.
Hey, Sobble into it. Heat are playing this so smart. As much as they fumbled it a few times on this T side, really tightening things up into this round. The only thing I will note, again, is they've left the bomb deep in spawn. That's a classic matchmaking fumble, so we'll have to see if that comes back to haunt them, as it has so many times. But the boost up is so smart. Catches Goofy. They know he's got to be holding both angles at once, and that severely limits how many positions he can realistically play for inside of the site. 35 seconds left, though. Bomb is on its way. Looking for that same-day delivery as Body, as he'll go and fetch it. And with all 5 players exploding onto the B site, this should be a done deal. Everyone is here for Wisla. Not that it amounts to very much. 1 Deagle and 1 Scout, all they've really got to work with, and they're holding the wrong side to deny Bomb. Lucky in with 1. Snatchy whips the shot, and it's a 1v5 to contend with. Hasn't even got his AWP. It's a tag, but nothing more. It's a round that if it was anything other than map point, he'd be looking to save that Scout, seeing if maybe he could get away with something into the next. But instead, he's left with the impossible task of trying to clutch this one up. Only Body 1 shot for him as well. This is not going to happen. He tries for the no-scope. It doesn't connect. Heat marching their way to a 16-10 victory on their opposition's map pick, no less. It is dominant. It is an incredible performance, and it adds to an impressive list of credentials, you have to say, for them heading to Inferno. And for Wisla, I have to say, I'm feeling very worried now.
Yeah, as am I, because